Alright everyone, welcome back to another Diablo 4 video. I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault. We got a lot to talk about today. Tomorrow, Season 1 starts, Season of the Malignant, and yesterday, a big patch dropped. And that's what we're going to talk about, the patch notes for patch 1.1.0a. So let's cue up the music, and we'll get right to it. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot going on in this patch. A lot. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly. I went in, played about 45 minutes or so just to get a feel for some of the stuff that I can already mess around with a little bit. And we'll get to some of that here in a few minutes. Now, of course, everything in the patch, everything is set up for tomorrow to get the season launched. But you can access some of these changes right now today. So, first and foremost, let's talk about the new unique items and the legendary aspects that they're introducing here. We've got 6 unique items. The first one is the Ahavarian Spear of Lycander. This is a uber unique staff. World Tier 4. Gain a random shrine effect for 10 to 20 seconds after killing an elite enemy. Can occur only once every 30 seconds. So that's for every class. And okay, kind of interesting. An uber unique, so I'll probably never see it, and neither will you, but hey, somebody will. Maybe we'll see a picture of it on the internet one day. The Barbarian has the Azure Wrath, a unique sword. Lucky hit. Your core skills have up to a 20% chance to freeze enemies for 3 seconds and deal 0.75 to 1.5 cold damage to them. Freezing is fantastic in this game, so that sounds like it'd be really nice for the Barbarian. The Druid has Flesh Render, a unique one-handed mace. Debilitating Roar and Blood Howl deal 0.5 to 1.0 damage to nearby poisoned enemies. I guess if you're working a poison build, that can compound the damage you do and work out nice for you. Necromancer has the Lidless Wall, a unique shield, lucky hit. While you have an active Bone Storm, oh boy, that's always fun. Okay, sorry. While you have an active Bone Storm, hitting an enemy outside of a Bone Storm has up to a 5 to 25% chance to spawn an additional Bone Storm at their location. Each of your active sacrifice bonuses increase the chance by 25% and the total number of additional Bone Storms you can have by +1. So you can have Bone Storms all over the place if you have your character set up right. Sounds pretty neat. Might be fun to try that out on the Necromancer. I believe that's the class I'm going to try when I start my new character here for the season. So, yeah, hopefully it's pretty cool. Rogue has the Eagle Horn, a unique bow. Penetrating shot has a 30 to 80% chance to fire an arrow that bounces off walls and scenery. Hitting enemies from behind with penetrating shot will make them vulnerable for 3 seconds. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. And the Sorcerer, this is my character right now. Let's see. The Oculus, a unique wand. Gain the effect of the Teleport enchantment for free. When you evade using Teleport enchantment, you are taken to a random location. Huh. Okay. Not really sure how that works. I'm taken to a random location. How far? That's going to be weird to try out. Developers note, the Azure Wrath and Flesh Render unique items have flat damage effects which scale with power. Okay, we've seen that with other aspects, so that's cool. For example, at 820 item power, Azure Wrath deals between 3359 to 6718 damage. That's a lot. Okay. New legendary aspects. Audacity. These are general ones. A utility aspect: when there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them for 2 to 4 seconds. This can occur only once every 20 seconds. Alright. Craven. Mobility aspect. You gain 20 to 40% increased movement speed when moving away from slowed or chilled enemies. Huh. That's when moving away from slowed or chilled enemies. But for how long? That's what I want to know about that one. I'm kind of curious about that one. That one sounds like it could be useful. But how long does that last? 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. The Audacity one, Stun them for a couple seconds. That's kind of nice to, if you get mobbed real quick, it'll just boom, stun everybody real quick, give you an opportunity maybe to pull off something to get out of the way or to kill them all off pretty quick. That's nice. The Barbarian has Ancestral Charge. It's an offensive aspect. Charge calls forth 4 Ancients who also charge, dealing 50 to 100% of normal damage. Huh. So, I guess that's kind of like a little offshoot of the Hoda there. Okay. Druid, Subterranean, offensive aspect. Poison Creepers active also cast Landslide in a circle around you. Earth skills deal 10 to 20% increased damage to poisoned enemies. Looks like they're focusing on poisoning people with the Druid this season. Necromancer gets Gore Quills, an offensive aspect. Blood Lance will consume blood orbs to also conjure lances from them. Each additional blood lance deals 20 to 50% of normal damage and prioritizes targeting unlanced enemies. Huh, that sounds like that could get pretty chaotic out there. The Rogue. Pestilent Points. Every third cast of Puncture is poison imbued with 100 to 150% of normal potency. Another poison thing, this time for the Rogue. And last but not least for my Sorcerer, Searing Wards, offensive aspect. After spending 200 to 100 mana, your next Firewall is free to cast and will destroy incoming small missiles. Well, I'll tell you, for my current regular character, yeah, both the unique item and the legendary aspect are pretty much useless for me. The Craven one's kind of neat. You know, I could see that being kind of useful. And even Audacity might help me sometimes, because sometimes I get mobbed, and I'm such a glass cannon that if I get mobbed real quick, I'm smoked. I'm done. Tons of bug fixes for accessibility. There's the one challenges. We're not going to read through all of this, man. It would take 45 minutes to an hour probably to go through all this. I will link in the description the patch notes so you can go through yourself at your leisure and read what you want to read about and figure it all out. But, you know, they fixed bugs and challenges, co-op play, dungeons, gameplay for each of the different characters. I'll have to look in the Sorcerer to see if they fixed her problem with resistances, passive stacks, deep freeze. Yeah, nothing in there. Then some general ones. Helltide and Field of Hatred. Okay, so I heard there's some changes in the Helltides, and I did go through and I played the Helltide for about an hour. And I'll tell you, man, oof. So they fixed an issue where the player could be damaged by Helltide Firestorm. These are just bug fixes. We don't want to talk about that. Items and aspects, monsters, quests and events. Let's get down to the meatier stuff. The user interface and the user experience, miscellaneous. Loading screen updates. And I noticed this when I was playing. We've added more dynamic loading screens with the release of Season of the Malignant. This includes adding more assets to the loading screen, such as your player character. It was kind of surprising first time I saw my Sorcerer up there. I'm like, whoa, hey, that's kind of cool. Alright, gameplay updates. Here's where it gets cool. A lot of this we already knew. Altars of Lilith unlocks are now account-wide. Map Discovery is now account-wide. Whispers will no longer reward Sigil Dust. Okay, not a big deal. Overall loot quality has been significantly improved for silent chests. That's nice. Players have been asking for that since the beginning. The silent chests have been absolute garbage. And I used to keep a few keys on me just in case I came across one, and I just never got anything in there, so I ended up I stopped doing that. I'm going to probably pick up 5 keys and hold on to them in case I come across those from now on. The channel time for the Leave Dungeon ability has been increased from 3 to 5 seconds. Okay. We've generally reduced the tendency for many monsters to move around in combat so that melee characters don't have to chase down their enemies as much. Well, that's going to be nice for melee built characters, because that's a pain. I know when I fart around with my Barbarian or my Druid, it can be really annoying sometimes. Added DualSense Edge wireless controller support for PC. Woohoo! Good controller. Can't wait to get one. Renown value adjustments. Side quest renown rewards increased from 20 to 30. Dungeon renown reward values increased from 30 to 40. This change is retroactive, and the additional renown gain will be applied to characters who have already completed side quests and dungeons. I gotta check my renown. I mean, I was full on in every part of the game, but that's kind of cool. Made it a little better there. World Tier 2 has the following bonuses added. Bonus gold is increased from 15 to 20%, and monsters now drop 15% more items. We like where World Tier 2 has landed overall, but are increasing its reward pace to better align with its difficulty. That's cool because, yeah, I mean, I tried some World 2 with new characters, and, it's tougher. It's definitely tougher. In the Eternal Realm, when you've already got all the altars unlocked and that kind of stuff, it's not that bad, but it could feel a little bit more rewarding, and that sounds great. Level scaling inside dungeons and most overworld territories has been adjusted. In World Tiers 3 and 4, monsters will begin to trail behind the player in level after a certain point, up to a maximum of 5 levels behind. This change does not affect world bosses, Legion events, Fields of Hatred, Helltide, or Nightmare dungeons. We want to give players a better sense of their power progression and mastery over the world while still challenging themselves with structured endgame activities. So this is going to discourage you just from going around to regular dungeons because of the drop-off in XP facing off against guys that are lower level than you. I get it. I see why they're doing that. No big deal, but man, you're going to feel OP, I'll tell you that. World Tier 3 example, if the player's level is below 55, the monster level is 55. If their level's 55 to 60, the monster's 55. If he's 61, the monster's level is 61, or 56, 62, 57. Okay, so, wow. Okay. In World Tier 4, if players' levels below 75, monsters are 75. They stay to 75 until level 80, and then at 81 they start to increase one level at a time, staying 5 behind you. Reward experience for completing Whispers in World Tiers 3 and 4 has been significantly increased. We've observed that the experience bonus rewarded for killing higher level monsters escalates too fast when compared to the relative challenge involved. We still want to reward players for taking on this challenge by encouraging them to participate in power leveling together instead of one player killing enemies while another member of the party waits at the dungeon's entrance. Okay. We're adjusting bonus experience rewards for killing monsters that are higher level than the player. Before the Malignant pre-season of the Malignant bonuses, 1 level higher was 15%, 2 levels higher 20, 3 levels higher 25. Post-season of the Malignant, 1.5% bonus per level up to 10 levels. 3%, 15% at level 10. So, that doesn't sound great. Wow, yeah. So, you gotta fight creatures 10 levels above you to get the same experience boost that you did fighting them 1 level higher, man. Ooh, that sucks. Alright. We're also adjusting experience rewards for monster level offsets for higher world tiers. The current offsets are World Tier 2 up to +3. That's unchanged. World Tier 3 up to +10. It's gone to +6. World Tier 4 up to +100. +10. For example, if you're level 1, your friend brings you to World Tier 4 and leaves you at the entrance of a dungeon, they start killing level 100 monsters. Prior to Season of Malignant, you got level 100 the XP times 1 plus 25%. Afterward, you're going to get the XP for only a level 11 monster. Oh, wow. Okay. Times 1 plus 15%. So yeah, power leveling, people, it's not going to be the same anymore. Helltide events. So we're looking to increase the danger in Helltide's risk-reward gameplay by making the monsters a bit more challenging and the tortured gift of mysteries harder to open. Well, I played about an hour of the Helltide. Let me tell you, it's tougher. Helltide monsters are now 3 levels higher than the player instead of 2. The Tortured Gift of Mysteries chest has its cost increased to 250 Aberrant Cinders from 175. All interactable objects in Helltide zones now have a small chance of dropping Aberrant Cinders. So, I wasn't really going through with the intent of, finding all the gifts and mysteries and all that like I usually do those chests. I was just going in trying to get a feel for it. I did some events. I fought some, when the meteors come down. I waited for the boss guy to show up, fought some of those guys, bunch of mobs and all that, and just ran around and all. And I got killed a couple times. And I lost half my cinders, and yeah, man, I got smoked a couple times. And it was like out of nowhere, one of those where I'm at full health, the next thing you know, I'm dead. And it was like, holy crap. So the Helltide event is definitely a little more dangerous. You're going to have to be a little more wary when you go into it, and you know, maybe adjust your gameplay a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. I did check a whole bunch of interactable objects in the Helltide Zone to see, you know, all the wretched souls, all these weird things, and you know, blew up crates and chests and all that to see if I got more cinders. And yeah, I mean, stuff dropped a cinder here or there, but I think overall the event got a little more stingy with the aberrant cinders too. I felt like I wasn't getting them as rapidly as I should. You know, even though I died and lost half of them, by the time, like normally I can go into a Helltide event and in 15 minutes I have 175 cinders easy, you know? And it wasn't like that this time, and I wasn't dead in 15 minutes. It wasn't dead till a little bit later on when I got killed, but so it does feel like it did get a little more stingy. They've done balance updates to apply to both seasonal and the eternal realm for every single character. There's a lot going on in there. We're not going to go through all of that. You know, go through, check your favorite character, the character you want to go. This may or may not influence the type of build and character you want to use when you start the season. So definitely want to read through all that. General aspects. Aspect of disobedience, maximum stacks reduced from 100 to 60. Reduced maximum bonus armor from 25 to 50 to 15 to 30. So, you know, some aspects got some changes to them. Some items did, like the Butcher's Cleaver. Drop rate adjustments are kind of neat here. We'll look at some of these. Increased bonus to drop ancestral and sacred items in Nightmare Dungeons from 5% to 10%. Cool. Removed a 20% chance to drop an extra equipment item from elite monsters outside of Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide. So they're really encouraging you to go into Nightmare Dungeons and Helltides. They're pushing you into the endgame content. This is what Blizzard wants you to do, and it's obvious with this patch that they're pushing all that. Increased chance to drop an extra equipment item from elite monsters in Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide by 10%. See? Nightmare Dungeons now have a 50% chance to drop a second legendary item upon completion. That's cool. And Nightmare Dungeons now give 3 rare items upon completion, up from 1. So they're really pushing these Nightmare Dungeons. I have a feeling we're going to see more happening with those, you know. And I'm telling you, man, they need a World Tier 5. I think a lot of stuff could have been solved with a World Tier 5. Like you know how they're now nerfing the enemies outside of Nightmare Dungeons and Helltides to be 5 levels below you if you're above a certain level on a certain world tier. If they had a World Tier 5, they wouldn't need to do that. Monsters. Increased monster HP scaling from 85% to 100% bonus per extra player in a party. So, that's going to make them a little tougher. Adjusted the scaling of the Greed Shrine to improve its effectiveness throughout the game. Thank you! Because the Greed Shrine sucks after you hit like level 10. It's just horrible. World bosses drop potions more often. Big deal. They're always dead in 10 seconds anyway. And there's no longer a limit to how many materials you can refine into higher materials at once. So this is kind of neat. They're increasing the availability of certain affixes. Control impaired duration reduction can now appear on pants. Barrier generation can now appear for all classes. This was one that a lot of people were asking about. It will also begin dropping later in the game. Lucky hit chance while you have a barrier can now appear for all classes, reduced by 12% when on a helm and 20% when on amulet or offhand. Mastery skill damage, newly added, can appear on sorcerer weapons. Scales identically to core skill damage, and resistance to all elements can now appear on shields. Core stat bonus on weapons has been overperforming, so they cut that in half. 50% stronger on weapons is now 25% for all those. Cooldown reduction affixes often felt mandatory due to their raw power. We imagine cooldown reduction will remain a highly desirable stat, but the penalty for not prioritizing it won't be as harsh. So cooldown reduction is reduced by 30% roughly. Imbuement skill cooldown reduction 30%. Okay. All right. Now here's where things get ugly, to me at least. We're seeing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage, often viewed as a hard requirement for build success in Diablo 4. We believe this is a step towards allowing more builds to flourish, and will continue to make changes in support of this goal. So critical strike damage is down 17%, lightning critical 17%, with bone, earth, imbued, werewolf skills 17% down. Vulnerable damage is reduced by 40%. I do a lot of vulnerable damage. That's my whole build. So it's a little frustrating to see that there. I know a lot of people have been crying about it because you have to kind of push that. And I get it. You know, this will maybe give us a little more diversity in builds. We'll have to see. I didn't notice much of an issue with, about, like I said, I played about an hour. I didn't really notice much of an issue or a change in it. So, I'm not crying over it. It's no big deal. And then they've got some other stuff with certain weapons, crowd-controlled enemies. And then down here we see adjustments to all these different types of damage and how they're pushing more for increases on the damage you do and decreasing the protection you get. So that's kind of cool. So that's it in a nutshell. Feel free to stop by the Blizzard website. Like I said, I will put the link down in the description so you can come here yourself and look at these notes. Tell me what you think down below in the comments about it. Do you think this is going to make the game better, worse? I mean, I'm sure we're going to see people screaming all over the internet about it. It's always the vocal minority that raises the most hell with stuff like this. Overall, it is what it is. It's a live service game. It's going to have changes. They're going to try to balance it. And, everything they take away, something else will move into its place to do instead. I mean, if you take away one build or nerf one build a little bit, it's just going to make another build stronger and open up new opportunities for a little bit of variety. I will tell you, it's a little frustrating in games like this to see that every character has an optimal build and everybody wants to do the meta. And, you got to be this sorcerer, you got to be this barbarian, you got to be this druid. It's kind of fun to see a little diversity in builds because I like building them organically. I like building a character organically, saying, let's see how this works with that and yada yada yada. But eventually when you get to the end game, you're kind of forced into the meta a little bit. So hopefully this will expand that meta. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and don't forget to leave a like on the video down below. I'll see you in Sanctuary tomorrow when we start off with, Season of the Malignant. All right, guys. Peace.